Today we have with us Dr. Jean-Philippe Chetcuti, who's the managing partner at Chetcuti Advocates. He's a lawyer specialising in European residency and citizenship programmes, as well as tax planning. And today we're going to be talking about the rise of these citizenship and residence programmes around the world, why they're so popular, how to decide which one to go for, and what they actually require. I think we should start with the fact that there is an increase in demand for these programmes, and there's also now quite a supply as well. So let's start with why people want second residence or perhaps even full citizenship.
Very well. Yes, over the last 20 years we've seen the landscape of residency and citizenship around the world evolve. There is more awareness of residency and citizenship, partly because of the advent of the internet and the sharing of information. The why, we see a number of push factors in a number of countries where, either out of a lack of stability of the economic or political situation, or else out of the sheer success of the economy, the national economy, which is creating successful family businesses, if not multinational businesses. And of course, as businesses grow and succeed, they become more international, they require more travel and therefore more mobility of the entrepreneur. So we're finding many international business families who are coming across the boundaries that exist between countries, visa borders, customs borders. And citizenship and residency by investment is a way of overcoming that through, acquiring a second residence card.
Particularly in the European Union, that has also got advantages. In terms of Schengen, I would understand.
Yes, in fact, one of the factors that an international family will look at is where does it need access to. So if it needs access to the EU, because the EU is a market where they supply their products, or else where they source their products, and therefore that requires them to travel more frequently. Or else it is a country where they would like their family to have access to, so to send their kids to study or simply to visit freely without waiting in several weeks for visas. If the EU is the main focus, then one would have to look at either a Schengen residency option, or if possible, an EU citizenship by investment program. Currently, Malta and Cyprus offer the two mainstream citizenship by investment programs, which result in citizenship by naturalization within under a year.
How would you actually choose between a residence program and a citizenship one?
Essentially, residency doesn't give you the full extent of rights that citizenship grants you. So residency gives you, at best, Schengen access, so visa-free access to the Schengen area, the ability, therefore, for a family or for an individual to visit any Schengen state and spend up to 30 days, 3 months in every 6-month period in any one Schengen country. Residency in the Schengen area through residency in a country like Malta, for example, entitles you to full permanent residency in Malta for life. And that enables you to base your family or your business base in Malta and then travel to the rest of the Schengen area, all the 26 member states of Schengen, without having to apply for visas every time. Citizenship in a European country gives you much more than that. It gives you the right to move the next day on receiving your passport to actually move lock, stock and barrel and settle, live, work, go to school, invest, do business in any one of the 28 member states as if you were born in that, in that member state. So that is a very powerful passport.
And are there tax implications relating to either one or the other program?
Definitely. So firstly, you need to look at tax in the country that is granting citizenship by investment. For example, Malta charges tax on the basis of residency and not citizenship, and therefore, with careful planning, one need not fall into any pitfall in taxation in Malta. But one must also look at taxes applicable in the countries where one spends time, because around Europe, the predominant basis for taxation is residency. A simple criterion one needs to look at is, have you spent 6 months in any one country in Europe? whether you're a citizen of that country or whether you're staying there by virtue of your citizenship in Malta, for example. And there, of course, you need to look at local legislation.
Earlier on you mentioned the reasons that people would look for these sort of options. Can you sort of break it down to the typical profile of the applicant, which countries they would come from, for example?
Yes. So we're looking at wealthy individuals from outside the European Union who typically want to send their kids to school in established European universities, whether English universities, Italian, Austrian, German, or else to universities in the US or Canada. So of course your choice of investor program will depend on where you want access to. Malta and now very recently Cyprus offer you access to the US without a visa. So as a Maltese or a Cypriot citizen, you're able to move to the US and visit without a visa. In Europe, that gives you the right to simply move permanently or for as long as you like and to attend university subject to tuition fees that apply to European nationals as opposed to third country nationals. And the savings, I was speaking to a family recently, was telling me that from a tuition fee of £35,000 in the UK, as non-EU nationals, their kids are now paying only £8,000 per year. So that's a significant saving. Scotland, for instance, doesn't charge any tuition fees to EU nationals. Malta itself actually pays a stipend to students who attend university in Malta as EU nationals, but charges non-EU nationals like many other EU states.
You mentioned wealthy individuals. Is this a reflection on the cost of these programs?
Definitely. So we're looking at, when we talk about citizenship by investment, we have a whole spectrum of programs, some in the European Union, limitedly between Malta and Cyprus, when you're looking at a passport within 1 year, and then others that are in other jurisdictions like the Caribbean. Clearly, Caribbean programs are programs that give access, visa-free access to the Schengen area. Not being part of the EU, they do not give rights as EU nationals, and therefore the price, the entry levels are much lower in the Caribbean. However, for people who simply want easier access without a visa, a Caribbean citizenship by investment program would be a very good start. Those who are looking ahead, and many of our clients who come to us being a European law firm tend to be looking at Europe as their primary destination, would want to secure the future of their children, not only in terms of education, but then also access to the job market. A Russian family we've recently assisted, for instance, told us that with the same qualification, holding an EU passport made the difference between getting the job or being denied a job. So clearly it has a big impact on the future of our
children. The qualifications framework is very important. You've mentioned so many different schemes and so on. It must be a nightmare to try and figure out which one is actually most suited to you, which is, I imagine, where people like yourself come in. What are the top factors that they should take into account when they're choosing which program to go for?
Yes, you're right. And remember, it's not just the magnitude, the wide variety of options, but also that these options evolve all the time. So our team has to have focus, and although we're part of a wider firm that handles all aspects of commercial investing and private tax and wealth matters, my team looks exclusively at all the programs, keeps a tab on them, makes suggestions also to governments and the managers of these programs, to give client feedback, investor feedback of what's working, what's not. And this enables us to then advise our clients as to what option fits their profile. So I might personally come from Malta, my partners might come from Cyprus, others are based in London. We're promoting all these various programs, and at the same time what we try to put on the table in front of the client is the program that best fits the aspirations, the needs of that client.
How interesting. I'm sure you found that as interesting as I did. Thank you very much for listening.